Okay, guys, I'm going to walk you through beginning to end on how to do the cuneiform keychain tablet that we went over in class. I know I went over with this with you step by step in class, but I thought I would leave you a video tutorial on what to do too in case you forgot. So the very first step we need to do is to select what initials or letters you want on your tablet. I'm going to do my 3 initials as the example. So if you remember, I showed you in Schoology in the assignment for this project where all of these documents are. So the first thing we need to do is open the cuneiform alphabet that looks like this, and you will notice that the symbol is above the letter. So in order to get that symbol eventually onto our tablet, there's a few steps that we need to take first. So the first thing we need to do is copy and paste the letters that we need into a Google slide. So in order to do that, you need to use the snipping tool. Now on your Chromebooks, to access the snipping tool, you are going to hold down Control Alt, and then there's a key above the 6 that has a square and 2 lines on it, and you're going to press that, and that is our snipping tool. You want to make sure that you are using the one here in the middle that allows you to draw a square around the part of the screen that you want to copy. So for me, I need to do a T first. So I'm going to take my little plus sign here and I'm going to draw a box around my T. I don't want to make the box too big. And then I'm going to hit capture. That's going to save it to my clipboard. Now I'm going to go into my slide that I've already opened, and I'm going to paste it on my slide. So now my middle initial is K, so I need to go back, and here is K. So I'm going to do the same thing. Control Alt and that button above the number 6. There's my snipping tool. I'm going to go here, and it's already going to have that box made for me. So I'm just going to drag it over to the K. I'm going to make just a little bit smaller since this is a smaller one. Hit capture. It saves it for me again. I'm going to go into my Google slide and I'm going to hit Control V to paste my K. And there it is. And last but not least, the letter B. Same thing, Control Alt, the key above the 6. I'm going to use that same box. There's my box for me. Drag it over to the B. Just going to drag it out just a little bit more, just so I make sure I have everything. Hit capture. It's copied. And now I'm going to put my B in. Control V. And there's my B. So now I want to take these 3 and I'll line them up. Move it over a little bit. Try to get them as close as I can together without them overlapping. If you know anything about slides, that red line helps you know that everything's lined up. So let me kind of move that just a little tad bit closer here. When I feel like I have everything kind of lined up. Now see how you can see this? Let me zoom in here so you can see this a little better. Oh, maybe not that far. But see how this is covered up? I can take this middle one and I can go to arrange, go to order, and send it all the way to the back. Now that's covered up. That means that it's hiding behind that image. So what I'm going to want to do is move this one back over. There we go. And make sure I can clearly see all 3 of my letters or my things. So I'm going to go back out to where I can see it there. I might zoom in just one. There we go. And take that off. Now what I want to do is make this one image. So I'm going to grab my arrow. I'm going to drag and draw a box around those 3 things. All that does is select them together. Now I'm going to go up here to arrange. I'm going to go to group, and I'm going to group it together as one image. Okay. Now, we're going to let this sit for a minute and go on to the next step. So if I go back to my directions, I've done this first. Oh, no, one more thing we need to do. I'm going to take this. Oops, let's go back here. I'm going to take this image here and click it so it's all one, right? And I am actually going to snip this image. So I'm going to do control the key above the 6. Use this again. I'm going to move this box over here. I'm going to drag it so it fits that image across and down. I'm going to click capture again. All right. This time, I'm going to just let it go and we're going to move on to our next step. So now we're on to step 2. So we're going to log into Tinkercad. I'm just going to go to it from here. And remember, when you log into Tinkercad, you're going to log in with Google. Mine is already logged in. I'm going to click Create New Design. And this is going to be very much like the keychains we did at the beginning of the year. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to select a box. I'm going to pull it onto my work surface. I'm going to make the height of my box a 5. And I'm going to make my width or my length, my bottom number, 125. And I'm going to make the width of it, so the up and down part, let me click this again, the one that's 20, I'm going to make that 40. I'm going to kind of move this back into the center of my work plane. So that's it. We have our tablet. Now, on to that was step 3, and now on to step 4. We need to add our cuneiform symbols onto our tablet. So in order to do that, we must convert that screenshot we took into a file that Tinkercad recognizes, and that is a file called an SVG. So in order to do that, we need to use a website to help us convert that file. So I'm down here on number 4. You're going to click this link that says picsvg.com. I'm going to go there. And we want to upload a picture. So I'm going to click there. Now, if you remember, we took that last screenshot, which would be this screenshot right here. I'm going to click that. And I'm going to open it. And you need to make sure you scroll down. So here it is. So there's my screenshot. Now, this is really important. You're going to want to make sure you change this filter here to invert number 1. Okay, so maybe it's invert number. There we go. Try invert number 4. You just want to mess around with these. The first time I did it was number 1. You just want to mess around with these until you get all of your symbols filled in dark. You don't want any of those white spots showing. So now you're going to click download SVG. You can see that it has downloaded it down here for you. So now back to our directions. We went to, I just walked you through all that. Now we went to import our image that we just made. So back to this one. We're going to click import. choose File, and these are going to come up, and you're going to do the SVG. And click Open. Make sure here you click Art. You don't want Artboard, you just want Art. And then click Import. And there are my letters. So obviously this is much larger than I need it to be. So I'm going to have to scale down my images. The one thing I want to make sure that you do is you're going to change your height. It's going to automatically probably be a 10. You're going to change it to 5. Then I'm just going to use my squares to make this fit my rectangle. Now, if you remember, we can do this one of two ways, right? We can take our select it all, and we can use our alignment tool and line it center and center. That looks pretty good. Now, there's two things you can do here. I can either leave this solid, and I can raise it just a little bit so it's raised above. Or if you like the sample I showed you in class and you want to engrave it into it, you can click make it a hole, and then it'll cut it in. Now I want to click top and make sure. Looks like I'm off just a little bit up here. So I think I'm actually going to make it a little bit shorter and align it again so it fits nice and square on my tablet. Now, there we go. I'm going to do this so it's engraved. So I'm going to select it and I'm going to attach it. So now when it prints, it will cut it in like the sample that I showed you. Now, you could leave it like this and make it a tablet, but if you wanted to make it a keychain, you would add a loop on it like we did when we did our keychains. So the easiest way to do that, you're going to go down here. You're going to find the torus, drag it out. Okay. I want to make sure the height is 5. It's already preset to 5. I'm going to drag it up here, make it bigger so it's about the same size as my rectangle here. Looks pretty good. See how that's showing because we're cutting that in? I don't want that to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this up here. Just as kind of like we did with our pumpkins. I'm going to take a box that's a hole. I'm going to bring it out. I'm going to make that wider. And I'm going to kind of cut off half of my little loop here. I'm going to do that, if you remember, by grouping it. So now I have half of a loop. So I'm going to take my half loop and my tablet. I'm going to align it, center this way, and then I'm going to just click out of that. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to use my right arrow to move that over until it's a little bit overlapped. I'm going to use my arrow, select everything again, and attach it. And there we go. We have our keychain. Make sure, like anything, that you label your project, your first, last name, and this time I want you to label it Cuneiform. So that way, if you want yours printed and I go to pull yours, I know exactly which one to take. Now, if you want this printed, there will be a Google form that is pasted in Schoology for you. Thanks so much for watching.